Hello there, good morning. Welcome to another exciting edition of Nuts to Nuggets. My name is Oluwayomi Ute, and it's such a joy to come your way this very bright and beautiful Monday morning. Wherever you are, whether it's morning with you, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is, it's surely a good day to be alive. And like I will always say, thank God for the gift of life. If you don't have life, there's nothing you can do. Everything you are complaining about, trust me, you can't even deal them if you don't have life. So always thank God for the gift of life. And it's a beautiful day, bright day here in this part of the world, wherever you are. Surely you will have a good day and a beautiful week ahead too. So today we are still continuing our series on parenting, and it's been a long journey. We started by talking about the temperaments. If you remember, talk about the four beautiful colors that describe the temperament of everybody, not just children, even you, the adult. Talked about the gold, which is the choleric. Talked about the orange, the sanguine, the blue, the phlegmatic, and the green, the melancholic. Four different temperaments, and we actually know that nobody is a complete one. Everybody is a blend of two or more. But the important thing is this: when you understand your child's temperament, then you can deal better. You will know how to deal with a gold child separate from a blue child. Is gold bad? Is blue better? No. But in understanding the personalities help you deal better with the child you have in your hands. It might not be your biological child. You might just be a teacher, an aunt, a guardian, a bigger friend, anyone that you are parenting, quote and unquote. You need to understand that child to give that child the best. And we said so much about those colors and their strengths and their weakness and what to look out for. And then we went further to say that temperament is not just about giving excuses. Oh, is this because? No, it helps you guide the child. And that was the foundation we laid. And we have been building on from then on. And today, I'm talking about the conformity trap. Hmm, the conformity trap. What exactly is it? You will find out with my guest today, who is now in the studio. My guest today is a psychologist with research interest in cognitive and non-biomedical mechanisms of infant, adolescent, and maternal health. She obtained a PhD in psychology from University of Bradford, and she teaches health psychology and other related courses in Department of Psychology, Redeemers University, Ede, Osho State here in Nigeria. My guest this morning is no other than Dr. Adenike Mopa-Egbunu. Please join me to receive her right onto the platform this morning. Hey, good to have you in the house.
Good morning. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
I hear you very clear. Good morning.
Morning, I'm so glad to be joining you this.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I'll talk about the conformity trap. So, we've been a long journey on parenting, but
Yeah,
today, conformity trap. Let's start from there. What exactly is conformity trap?
okay. The conformity trap is the negative side of conformity. And so when we
Hmm.
view conformity as a spectrum, right, from its usefulness to its disadvantages, on the disadvantage side of it is where the trap lies.
Hmm.
Conformity, on its positive side, is useful in that it helps in social norms, helps us obey rules and regulations. So, for instance, the traffic lights, we all have to conform to using the traffic lights. We know that green means go. We know that yellow means you're going to stop. We know that when you red light, you have to stop. And we all have to conform. You can't say, oh, I want to be different. I want to do things differently. I'm not going to conform to that, right? That's
Yeah.
the positive of conformity. But then on the negative side lies, that's where the trap lies, right?
Hmm.
And the balance to it is knowing when that sense of conformity is going on the negative side. The negative side of conformity, from I'll use a social example, appetite, for instance. When appetite happened,
Hmm.
not a lot of people believed. or they felt the injustice in their hearts, even though they were part of the system. But conformity made them keep quiet, bought in their silence to say, this is how society is. This is what society demands of me. I'm going to have to conform, even when they knew it was right. And talking about conformity, there's a classical experiment in psychology. It's called the
Mm,
conform experience. And that experiment was carried out to show that when an authority figure, when people sense they are being instructed by an authority figure, they will
mm,
do what they think is wrong. They will do what is wrong, even when they know that it is wrong. Therein lies the trap of conformity.
mm, mm. Can you say that again? I didn't get it clear.
Okay, there's an experiment in psychology. It's called the conformity experiment. And that experiment was carried out. It's a classic experiment in psychology. It was carried out to demonstrate that individuals or most people will obey authority figures when asked to carry out a negative instruction or an instruction that they know that it is wrong. Because of conformity,
Mm,
they would do it even though they know that or they believe that action to be wrong because they've seen
mm,
this person do it, this person do it. They know it is wrong, but most likely going to do it. In that experiment, about 84% of the participants did something wrong because they had seen somebody else do it and they wanted to conform.
mm, mm, mm. Wanting to conform, conformity trap. That's interesting. That tells me it's not just about children, even adults. We fall into this trap again and again if we are not careful. So it's actually a reality. It's not some myth, it's not some imagination. Conformity, but no, I like what you said. I never looked at it from that side before. That conformity is not all negative. There are
Yes,
certain principles we almost conform to. Street light example, I mean, that was classic. So it's not always negative. But when it's tending towards negativity, we must be aware of it and stop it. So, how do we guide against it?
yes. So with conformity, a sense of awareness is very, very important. So let me speak to us as parents. What you want your child to do, or what you require of your child, or what you're requiring of your child at this time, because you want them to conform to certain things that you see or that society may see as wrong. Is it is it a matter of personal awareness, personal standards or values, or societal values or standards? And our children can always tell. So,
Mm,
a parent is having conversation about their son braiding their hair, for instance. The parent needs to tease out, is it my personal value, or is it because I don't know what my friends are going to say when they see my son like this? To say, oh,
mm,
your son is not well brought up, and it's very scary. It's very scary both for children and for adults. So the first thing is self-awareness.
mm,
What this conformity that I am demanding of my child, is it a matter of my personal value? Self-awareness also comes to play where you define your personal values. And once children know what those values are, because they love you, they will do their best not to tamper with it. And even when they want to tamper with it, that conversation can always come up to say, as a family, this is what we stand for, this is what we stand for. So that even when they are not conforming, they are very aware that they are being
mm,
rebellious.
mm, 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 mm. So, guiding against it starts with self awareness. But I
Yes,
hear you. Self awareness, particularly of the parent or guardian.
yes,
I know
yes,
something you said struck me. If you say your child should not braid, your son should not braid his hair, why? Is it because of what people would say? Again, that's conformity trap for us, the adults. I don't want trouble. I want my child to look prim, proper, well brought up, just look acceptable to the society. We want everything prim and proper for that child. So we want them to enter into that mode. The same thing that happened in our generation, you must study that medicine, architecture, engineering. Never dare tell parents what to go into arts, drama, music. You're going to you find another house to go and live. Again, part of the conformity trap, self-awareness.
yes.
But
And
let me ask you this.
it's,
Okay,
it's
go
not
ahead. Go ahead.
it's not such a bad thing. We just have to own up to it, especially when we're having conversations with older children. So
mm,
I'll go on with the example of a son braiding his hair, for instance. You could have a conversation with that child and say, why I'm not comfortable doing this is that, first of all, in part how you're seeing, I know your character. I know that you're a hardworking person who wants to do their best, who wants to be seen as a responsible citizen. In this part of our world, you would not be able to portray that picture if you go on with this, number one. Number two, and then marshal those points. And then in between, layer a bit of your humanity to say, I'm just on the vain side. I don't want to be the parent who has a son who's braiding their hair. That vulnerability would help them see it from your own eyes, because one day they might not even see it then, but one day they are going to be parents themselves, they're going to be guardians, and they're going to remember to pay that particular act forward to their own children, because their children are going to come with a set of challenges, right? So that self-awareness also helps you to be able to own up to it, when you're, because at some point the children are going to talk to you and accuse you and say, oh, mommy, it's because of your church people. Oh, mommy, it's because of your colleagues at work. They're going to confront you with you at some point. And as an adult, as a parent, you have to be mature enough to, own up to it and say part of the reason, but it is not a major reason for wanting you to
mm,
do this. So self awareness again. Why?
mm, mm. Why? Wow. Adults, we need to learn to be vulnerable. That's tough. We want to also look prim and proper and all put together. We don't want to look like we have one air out of place. We just want to be perfect all the time. But we have to learn to be vulnerable. This conformity trap. Let me back up a bit. What age does it really start?
Conformity starts from even before we're born. We're birthed into the culture of conformity. So woman is expecting, and there's a positive side and a negative side as well. The positive side says you have to go for your antenatal care. She has to conform to all that, and then that birth happens in a particular culture. Whatever comes with that culture, whether it's bringing balance to the hospital, or whether it's doing omugwo, or whether it's the sitting in or the belly wrapping. So we're born into it. At a particular, and then when that baby starts to grow up, we start to write conformity on their hearts. So this is what a girl does. This is what a boy does. You shouldn't use your inside voice. At these places, you should not shout, but at this place, you can yell. So we're constantly teaching our children conformity, because they need it to function in the society. Right? But the trap itself starts when the moment children step outside of the house,
Hmm.
at whatever age that is. And that's why educationists will always advocate that children should reach a particular age before starting school. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if you can still hear me. Okay,
I can hear you very clearly. Very clearly.
can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Maybe you can't hear
Uh,
me anymore, but we can hear you. Oh, I think we're losing her. We can hear you very well. We can hear
can you
you.
still
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes. Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Oh no, we're losing her. We can hear you very well. I think she can't hear me anymore. Oh. Wow. I think she can't hear me. But we can hear you. Network is networking there. We can hear you. If you can
Oh,
hear
thank
me,
you. Thank you for confirming that you can hear me. So that child is birthed into that conformity, and then we start to teach them how to function in society, because for society, the order we have in our society, as I said earlier, is a result of that conformity. The trap starts as soon as that child, steps out of their immediate family, and that's why educationists would advise to say that children shouldn't step out too early. There's an age for children to step out. Once they step out, we really cannot control the influences or the people that they meet. They're going to meet teachers, They're going to be people who are above their grades as well. They're going to relate with school bus drivers, attendants, even at the mall. They're going to engage with attendants. It is at that point that they start being susceptible to that trap. Say, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. I remember being in primary one, and I had a classmate who had this particular lunchbox. It was a raining lunchbox. And I remember, you know, goading my mom and, giving my mom such a hard time because I wanted a particular lunchbox. It looks like the in thing. And nothing absolutely was wrong with the particular lunchbox. Now, as an adult, I do appreciate it because it was a Stanley. And now that there's a Stanley Reef, I'm like, oh my goodness, I used a Stanley way back in the 1990s. That must have been really good. And so that tells me that I had a beautiful, well functioning lunchbox, but I didn't want it. And I wanted something else just because of that conformity trap. And that is when, as soon as children step out of the house, especially when they start to go to school, that is when this starts. And that is when we should start to look out for it.
Hmm. As soon as they step out of the house to school to anywhere. But I like that last phrase. That is when we should start looking out for it. Because really, we cannot be like ostriches ahead in the sand and thinking, oh, I've trained this child so well. The child knows it all. The child cannot get into the trap. Every child can get into that trap if somebody is not guiding that child right. Remember, conformity is not all bad. For you to live successfully in a society, some things are there for you to conform with. You just have to. But while you are conforming, understand what are you conforming to. There's a positive side, there's a negative side. You can't say because you want to dare to be different, you will run the red light. You will get the tickets. So yes, you would conform to the rules and regulations guiding the society, but there are certain traps we need to avoid, and we can help our children, our wards, our mentees to guide against it. I think it's important we note that. So she had talked to us about number one thing, which is having a clear sense of awareness. I'm sure she'll be back in the studio shortly. Um, once okay, yes, she's back in the studio. She talked to us about the conformity trap. The basic thing is being self-aware, having a clear sense of self-awareness. So apart from self-awareness as a guide against conformity, what else do we need to know or do to guide against this trap?
Empathy. Empathy. To remember that we're all human. To remember that we all went through it. So I don't know if you heard the example I gave about the lunchbox when I was in primary one.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And so when I have a child, and when that child is going through it, the memories of my own humanity helps me remember, helps me guide him to say, while I was way back in primary one, I had something so good, yet I desired something of a lesser quality. So, being that empathy, remembering as adults, we forget what it feels like to be small, to be a child. It can really be scary. If we remember all the feelings we had growing up, will I be liked? We would empathize more. Do you just we don't just remove our children from schools and take them to new schools and feel like you should adjust? You know,
Hmm.
did you remember the feeling of walking into a new school, a new classroom, no friends, no familiar face? Did you remember to take them, say, visiting first, introduce them to someone? Empathy, remembering what it is like or what it was like to be young. We need to remember and be constantly reminded, and then lead our own children not out of fear but of empathy, remembering that they're learning to navigate the world and it can sometimes be scary. With teenagers, no matter how strong faced and bold they look, they really are confused, they really are scared. They're mini adults and they need all the guidance, but especially the empathy. When you speak to, even no matter how little that child is, to say that I really understand you, I hear you, and I'm willing to hear you, but this and this and this is it. One day they're going to joke about it to say, hmm, this thing mommy does, she does this and everything, because they have come to understand. But the story will not be about a tug of war of values. It will be
Hmm.
empathy. and that is what they will repay to the next generation. I have clear memories. My parents were not perfect, but I have clear memories of, you know, the empathy that I received from time to time. And in my training as a psychologist, I also remember, maybe that helps me, to touch humanity and say, no, this child is just going through a phase. Perhaps your 7-year old is shouting and you say, I hate you, I really hate you, because they haven't gotten their way. And to remember that they don't really, it's not the hate. It's just that they've not had their way at that moment, and a conversation can be had about it later on.
Hmm.
This generation has it more challenging. They have it coming at them from different angles. I didn't even have Facebook growing up. I didn't even have access to the internet. Now they can watch YouTube from the convenience of their sitting rooms. They can watch TikTok. Even if you ban them from watching TikTok, when they go to church, somebody has brought a mobile phone that has a TikTok on it, right? And they're telling you, oh, there's this thing. They show children's show on it. And you're like, what is that thing? And you find out it's TikTok, right? So it's coming at them from different angles. This is the time to be empathic. This is the time to imagine what it feels like to be in their shoes, because as adults we don't know. We really can't say, oh, but I went through what you went through. They're going through it in a different context. They're digital natives. So that empathy. Secondly, I'd say go for value driven training courses. I don't know if it's something you offer, ma'am. Go for value driven training courses where other people who have parented successfully. I use the word success loosely, not because they have all their children to be medical doctors or all their children are, making waves. As I said, it has to be value driven. You identify somebody who has brought up the children with the values that you're looking for, not the outcome, the values.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in this family, they have a value of intergenerational respect. This family, they have a value of unity. This family, this person has the values of bringing up their children to be hardworking or to be resilient, right? So value driven courses, and to look for such communities. Parents also need the empathy. So to have a place where they can go and be vulnerable to say, I'm really scared. I saw a text on my daughter's phone yesterday and I lost my sleep because of it. What am I supposed to do? Because parents are scared as well. So and to have such social circles to surround ourselves with it. And I've also realized that parents go both ways. In the places where the mother and the father is available, they should contribute and do the work together. It might feel, oh, she's a girl, she needs her mom. Sometimes the girl needs her dad. She needs to hear her dad speak from a guy's point of view to say, see, I am a man myself. And I was once this person's age. And this is what I think he's thinking. They need that window. Or sometimes say he's a boy. They talk to his dad. Sometimes they need tips on how to say, oh, be gracious, hold the door open when a lady is behind you. They can we can also teach them how to be gentlemen. So values define. It starts with defining what the family values are, or in a place where there's only one parent available, what kind of values do I want to see in this child? Not past mistake driven parenting, not that,
Hmm.
but the values going forward, even if I didn't have those values. So for instance, I'll give a personal example just to be vulnerable. I struggle with punctuality as an adult, but that is not a value I want to pass on to my child. I want my child, so I am not going to do it out of fear driven that, hey, if you, I even joke about it with my friends that I'm cool with. I say, I don't want to be that child when it's time for parents teachers meeting and my son says, oh, don't worry, my mom won't be here until the next hour. I don't want to be that sort of parent. I want to be the kind of, and so value. So what am I doing? I'm teaching him the value of time, which is something I am learning myself. I'm being vulnerable to say, um, I want us to get to school at least seven. He's very young. He might not understand, but he's taking it in at 7:58. So once it's 8 o'clock, I start talking about it. It's already 8 o'clock. We are running late. And he said, Mommy, it's just eight. We're not running late. There's the assembly. And I say, on time is late. And so he sees me working at it, and he said, Mommy, so are we running late? He asks me constantly now, are we running late? I say, oh, Mommy, I'm so sorry that we are late. right? So it's not peer driven, but that is the value I want to see in him, and that is the value. So I'm communicating it to say I want us to be a family who's on time, but I am not there yet, but we will get there, right? And he already has that timing. Are we running late? Did I wake up late? Did I wake up early enough? So that's an example.
Hmm.
Thank you very much.
Wow. I mean, that's really interesting. The fact that, I mean, you will learn together. So even the areas I'm still struggling with, I can actually be that example and train my child so I doesn't have to struggle in that area. I'm not going to lie and say I have it all together. It's just all about you. I can let you know, look, mom is still dealing with this as well. So together we're going to learn to do this together and build that value. I know
Yes.
something you said before I let you go. What something you said really, really resonated. Having to learn with people. And today we have a lot of parenting communities out there, a lot of parenting courses out there. There's a lot of awareness now that people need to learn parenting. So find a good parenting community where you
Yes.
can actually be vulnerable, where you can say, well, I'm dealing with this. I'm in a particular parenting community, and one day somebody said, all this time about don't beat your child, don't beat your child. I had to spank my child, even though now I'm feeling bad. But I really had to give it to him really hot. And people have to come out and say, oh, you're not the only one. We are all
Mm-hmm.
dealing with this. We are all, some of us are still yelling, some of us are still spanking. You're not the alone in this field. It happens. And that's where you can get yourself together again. Thank you so much, Doc. You've said a whole lot of things, challenged us to empathy, to having a clear sense of awareness, to attend value driven courses. You don't know it all. Find parenting communities to join. Be value conscious, not outcome conscious. I mean, I have to write that down because a lot of times we look for outcomes, forgetting that it's based on certain values and we should train the children together. Thank you so much, Dr. Nike. Before I let you go, can I have your final words on this conformity trap?
Okay. First thing I want us to go away with is that when we hear conformity, it sort of has we think of it as negative, but to remember that it's on a continuum from positive to negative. On the positive side, it helps us maintain order, and even the values we're passing on to our children is to help them conform to those values. So conformity does have a positive side. It has a positive side in role modeling. If you find someone who can model something to your child, you should encourage them to conform to that aspect, right? Not to compare. There's such a way as gently prompting a child without comparing, which goes back to values again, or which circles back to values, you know. And so there's that. Remember that it exists on on a continuum from positive to negative, and deciding that we're going to stay on the positive side of it. We're going to harness all the positivity that comes from conformity. Conformity is the reason why people of a family have the same surname. Right. So to tell ourselves we're going to harness the positive side of it. And when our children are tending towards the negative side and put them in a trap, we will remember to be human. We will empathize with them, and we will keep true to those values, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much of a struggle it is. Remembering that fads, times, and seasons, they may go, but values remain entrenched. So we're in the season of gentle parenting. Gentle parenting, concept of gentle parenting started maybe about 2 decades ago. It's going to evolve into something else. But the values of respect, of decency, of being a good human being, of even this empathy, those values, children are going to carry it on to this, into the next generation. And then you don't need to tell them about gentle parenting, because an empathic parent is a gentle parent, and a
Yeah.
parent who empathizes is already a gentle parent. So even when they do that smacking, and that example of the parent you gave, he's a gentle parent. She just does not know it because she can empathize. She does feel bad. That's a gentle parent. So a gentle parent is not a perfect parent. It's a parent that makes mistakes, but is honest enough to be able to acknowledge you. So we'll empathize, we'll be human, and we'll be value driven. Fads will go, names will go, values remain, and that is what we can then pass on from generation to generation. And you see that the older you get, the more fond you are of your memories with your parents. The same thing is going to happen to our children.
Hmm.
Always
Hmm.
that's man.
So true. So true. The older we get, the more those memories actually form memories. And same thing with our children. So when we realize that, we do a whole lot of things differently. Thank you so much, Dr. Nike, for being on with me on this call. And like I will
Thank
always say, the word for good work is more work. Trust me, I
you.
will come again someday, sometime. But thank you so much. I really do
It was
appreciate this. God bless you.
waiting for it. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a whole lot to chew on the conformity trap. That was Dr. Adenike Mopa-Egbunu, and she was just fantastic. And she brought something so clear. Before you beat that child silly, remember what you did as a child too. And when you remember that you were once a child, you handle a lot of things differently. Never forget that being vulnerable is not being weak. Be vulnerable with that child. Let the child know your areas of strength, the things they are still struggling with, and walk the road with that child together. Remember, that child, when he grows up, will remember these things now. Will he be happy, excited, say, oh, thank God for my daddy, thank you for my mommy? Or, oh, those people, I don't want to train like that. What would it be? The choice is really yours. Thank you so much for being with me on this call. Every single person that joined me live, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, thank you so much. And remember, like I will always say, please hop to my YouTube video channel. Please like the video, share it, let somebody know about Nux to Nuggets. And for those that you watch thereafter, thank you so much for giving me a share of your time. Next week, we'll be back together again for the Father's Day edition. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, it's going to be fun. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the holiday if you're on this side of the world that we're on a holiday today. And if you're going to work or you're already at work, have a fantastic working day and a beautiful week ahead. But remember, if you can think it, you can be it. And yes, you can have it. And as always, together we win. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now. Thank you so much.